This is a stencil card, and we're going to make a stencil card of this nice gentleman right here. Let's start by picking a good photo. And we're going to upload it to Bay Stencil. And we're going to pick it and then crop it and maybe add our email address. You can remove the background too if you haven't already. We get an email back with 9 options, and we want a 3-color option, although 2-color gets you a card too, but 3 colors usually works better. And then it's going to generate the layers for us. If you like what you see, you can buy the SVGs. This unlocks the stencil for you to download in any configuration you like. Now, you don't have to set anything special for this download because the card SVG is always going to be the same. So this works fine. We wait a bit longer for the SVG download, and then when it comes, open up the zip file and grab card.svg. If you're on a Cricut, you can upload to the design space, and we add this to our project once it's uploaded. Now let's size it so that it fits on our long mat, and make sure that our cardstock is also long enough to print a whole card. This looks about right to me. The stencil should be cut out, which is the default, but those vertical lines are the fold lines, and we just want those to be creased, so we change those from cut to score. Finally, we select everything and click attach. This tells Design Space that we don't want it to rearrange the cut elements, we just want it to cut it as shown. When that's set, Design Space turns it sideways so that it fits, and you just need to position it relative to the cardstock on your mat. Now, use a setting that works for your cardstock. For me, it takes the highest pressure and cuts every outline 2 times. And I always use the more pressure setting because I've had good luck with it. Make sure you have your scoring attachment in clamp A, and that's all you need to do. Put the mat in, and it's going to score first and then cut. It takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to cut the card, depending on the complexity of the card. And when it comes off, it's actually pretty easy to get off the mat. It's a little bit harder to get all those extra bits of paper off the mat. And I just use a plastic spatula for that usually. Okay, so we take it off. And the score lines are calibrated to the cardstock so that the card will fold flat with room for both flaps inside. More importantly, the 2 stencils are going to line up with each other, and that can be tough to do by hand, so trust me and fold it on the score lines. It's important to make sure that the flaps line up and that they don't skew up or down when you're folding, or else your stencil layers won't line up when you go to paint. So it's really important to, as you're folding these, make sure that the top edge comes flush with the top edge, and that way it doesn't skew up or down. Now I'm going to use sepia and black ink for this stencil to be true to the original image. I like the way it works here. But first I'm going to cut out some of the bridges that I don't need, and then I'm going to stencil or dab the sepia layer. And obviously I'm going to let it dry, and if I want to, I can fill up any of the bridge gaps with a paintbrush, which works well. Make sure to get all the edges in there. The edges are what makes the stencil pop. And as you can see, I've got a few bridge things in there, which I'm going to cover up the next time through. But before I do that layer, I'm going to just take a couple more bridges out so that that hairline is completely uninterrupted. It'll look nice and clean. And I'm going to do my dark black ink. This is going to give the features, like the eyes, nose, and mouth, a really good resolution. So now you see that I just doctor those little places where the bridges show the white underneath, and it's going to look a little bit more seamless as a result. Now you can use ink or you can use spray paint, which we'll do in a bit. You can also use markers or even chalk paint to paint this stencil. The great thing is that you paint the card once, but you can keep using the stencil as many times as you want. Just touching up this a little bit with a few more bridges here that needed to be filled in, but I'm really happy with the way this came out. So we got the indoor dabber version. Remember, this one I did with ink. I did it with sepia and black ink, and I think it came out pretty good. But now we're going to go from the dabber version to the tagger version, and I'll show you how we do that. So usually I would let this dry, and then I would flatten it and let it sit for a minimum of 2 days between 2 books to flatten this out so that I can get a nice clean press here, but I don't have time to wait, so we're gonna just go ahead and do it, even though it's not totally flat. We're using 2 warm brown tones, but we could really do any combination of colors that we want to here, because every way you do it, where you have a mid-tone and a dark, it's going to work. It's going to look good. Just to show you what I meant about the color, I'm going to do a mid-tone light green, and then I'm going to do a navy blue over the top. You'll see it's going to work because it's going to be mid-tone, dark. Okay, so we got this. We got 3 different versions of this. We got the ink version, then we did the brown on brown version, and then we did this green on blue version. And I think I like this one the best, although of these 2. Although I really like this one with the ink too. So this worked really well. We went from the dabber version to the tagger version, and they both look awesome.